All right. I have returned. And I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. The game is called, and it never occurred to me, but the game is called Everlasting Summer, but the game starts in the middle of winter. It didn't occur to me, at the beginning, that it was winter, and Alright, let's get back to this. I looked at it, and today I've been streaming for 5 hours. Man, oh man. Alright. Yeah, that's true, but who knows what could have happened. I don't remember what I was just talking about. Wait. Sense of trap, where are you going? Searching for a shulk. Surely you're not freaking out over such a minor thing. Only a few hours have passed, maybe you went for a walk, certainly some idea, but I wasn't telling her that. Yeah, it's true. But who knows what could have happened. Let me help you with it. Oh, maybe I should have gone to play guitar with her. Because then I could get something, because there's stuff happening right now with her. I could have scored more points by going to play guitar with her, you know? With what? I got suspicious. Looking for Shorik. Oh, but I can do it. Oh, come on. She smiled at me, but there was something malevolent in that smile. Oh, I guess that's not the case. She's just plotting. Naturally, her smile was cute enough, but it really seemed to me like there was something behind it. Well, if you insist. Since I could not understand what's on her mind, I had no real reason to refuse. Before we go, I have to get one thing from home. Okay, I'll wait for you. You're actually serious about just standing here? Just go. Okay. She has an interesting cabin. We approached Lisa's cabin. It would be just like all other cabins, if not for the Jolly Roger on the door. By the way, Ilana's my roommate. What? What? Ilana? What? I'm surprised she hasn't killed Ilana right now. Remember before I was saying about I wonder what would happen if Ilana did stuff to Elisa. Elisa. We entered the cabin. Ooh, I'm in a girl's room. Well, I sort of live in a girl's room, but I'm in a girl's room. The complete chaos inside really reminded me of my old flat. Though, the why I thought it was that old, I don't. What? Okay, I think I'm losing it. 5 hours of streaming is really getting to my head. Right back on it. In general, I would imagine a girl's room differently. Snow white sheets, walls and floor ceiling shining, spotless. But when you consider that the two most exemplary pioneers are living here, we just stood silently there for some time. And what did you need to get? Huh? Seems like I interrupted her thinking. Yeah. It's not here, actually. Wait, here. I'll be back in a minute. You leaving me alone in her room? What's she plotting? I wonder which side is hers and which one is the other girl's. I think this is the other girl's, because the red shirt. And the tank. I'm not able to tell. I should be. But I can't. Oh, is that a Deadpool light? Look at that. It looks like a Deadpool light. She seems really flaky today. I began to examine the room. I wouldn't say that there had been an explosion. It was just a decent mess. Well, at least by looking at this mess created in one Pioneer session, I can surely say that I am not the messiest person in the world. The decoration of my apartment took years to be completed. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular. I was just looking around the room. Posters of Soviet artists and some books on the shelves, various household items. And then I realized that everything is wrong. Something will happen soon. Something bad. Why did Elisa leave me here alone? There was something I had to discover. My gut told me that it was dangerous to stay here. I went to the door and tried to open it. Locked. What a surprise. How did she manage to quietly lock me in? I don't know what's on her mind, but I need to get out of here. I went to the window and opened it and climbed out. Now I can go take care of business order. Chose the second option and waited. What was the reason she locked me up? I wanted to know what was happening, plus I really wanted to see Elisa's face when she finds her room empty. I hid in the bushes next to the house and waited. After some time, I heard some footsteps. Elisa and Olga came to the house. You'll say everything for yourself. She opened the door and went in. A few seconds later, ran back out. Elisa's face looked as if she'd just won the mouse catching competition, but at the last moment found out that it's not a real Olympic sport. So he just disappeared? Olga asked skeptically. I did the right thing by closing the window after myself. Oh no. I understand everything. You and your roommate, every time, the same thing. Haven't you had enough yet? But it's true! Really? One story after another. Same man in your cabin. Same man harassing you. Why do you keep up your lying? That's horrible. Elisa seemed to be really upset, and to my surprise, not even trying to argue. On one hand, it was funny to look at, but on the other, I felt a bit sorry for her. She deserves it, though. Our leader finally finished scolding her and left. Elisa was mad. She clenched her fists and trembled. Her face flushed. It seemed to me that she was going to explode. I sat in the bushes and laughed quietly. However, I was wondering what was on her mind, and I came out of my hiding place, not afraid of being beaten. So what exactly did you want to show the leader? Me? Elisa turned and looked in disbelief. After a moment, surprise turned to anger. You! What about me? She calmed down a bit. I wanted to take revenge. For what? Really, what did I do to this girl to warrant revenge? You beat me in cards! What a fantastic reason. No doubt. I see. Maybe I should apologize to you, I asked sarcastically. Screw you. She went to the house, slamming the door. I wasn't angry at Elisa. In the end, I'd expected her to do something like this. Anyway, I got through it without consequences. I was very lucky. Her confusion and embarrassment just made my day. Chuckling as I left Elisa's cabin, which was about to become my death trap. Well, where? Oh, I was gonna go to the boathouse, yeah. What? What? Huh? Should I go to the bus stop, forest, or I'll go there. But it's still a stupid idea. If Shurik was hiding anywhere in the camp, he would have been found by now, of course, assuming he wants to be found. So I hardly think I can help him. Together with this thought, I entered the cabin and stretched myself out on the bed. Nothing good will happen if Olga finds me here. Stop. Enough. I'm just a trembling creature. Or do I have rights? I didn't want to do anything anyway. The day was just as hot as the previous ones, and the only thing to do was stay in bed and wait for lunch. Just as I was falling asleep, I heard someone knocked on the door. Come in. Slavia knocked on the doorstep. Ah! My girl, she's here for me. Why am I freaking out so much? Olga isn't here, is she? No. And what are you doing? She asked with suspicion. I looked over myself, lying on the bed, and said, lying down. I can see that. But I heard Olga asked you to find Shurik. Well, yes. And? What's the point? I'm sure she already turned the whole camp upside down. Not much time has passed. Why should we panic? You know, stuff could happen. Sylvia looked at me thoughtfully. Get up. Do I have to? I was so worn out that even the thought of going somewhere frightened me. Yes, you do. Sylvia's not a person I could ever say no to. I stood up reluctantly and went out of the cabin with her. We stood in the doorway for some time, relaxing in the beams of the summer sun, though I was rather frying. Where shall we go? We have to look everywhere. Great. Great idea. Just great. First stop was the library. Slavia went to Zadada and spoke to her. I just stood in the doorway. I didn't want to communicate with this librarian any more than necessary. A few minutes later, Slavia came back to me. So? Nothing. She shook her head. As expected. The canteen. We still had time before lunch starts, so... My gosh. So no usual crowd of pioneers. It was completely empty inside of the building. While Slavia was talking to cooks, I was sitting and playing with the salt shaker. Some salt spilled out of the pot. Certainly, I would be worried if I was superstitious. Strangely enough, he wasn't here either. It would be unexpected if she had found him, for instance, in the refrigerator. Next stop, according to our plan, was the infirmary. I decided not to go inside and wait outside for Slavia. No results. There were pioneers playing football in the sports ground. It would be hard for Shurik to get lost among them. Finally, we reached the clubhouse. You think he could be in here? I'd think it's the first place people would have searched. Let's go in. Empty inside. Slavia went to open the door and went to the next room. I followed her. This all seemed to be a stupid undertaking. This was strange, especially because it was Slavia's idea. I mean, I understand responsibility and so on, but isn't it obvious that he isn't in the camp? After all, he isn't playing hide and seek with us, is he? No one here either. What did you expect? That he'd be sitting in a closet? Well, seems like I've offended her. Sorry. But seriously. I understand, but we have to check all possibilities. Okay, listen, what do you really think? About Shurik's disappearance? Yes. Maybe he went into the forest and been caught by a forest spirit. She laughed at that. What a fabulous story. However, in this camp, you never know. Yes, true that. But now isn't the time for jokes. Cheer up. We'll find him. I hope so. Slavia smiled. Well, I still have some things to do. See you later. She left, but I was standing there for some reason, staring at the cybernetics closet. Alright, let's go to the bus now. Oh, I went for lunch with mixed feelings, with the sense of accomplishment, with the realization of time wasted. The canteen was crowded. I couldn't stay unnoticed. Olga called me. Simon, come with us. The camp leaders, Slavia and Electronic, were sitting at the 4-seat table. I nodded and went to get my food. This time I had to spend several minutes at the queue. Today's menu didn't really differ from other days' menus. The dishes looked the same at least. When I sat down at the table and wished bon appetit to everyone, and we said, "So what are you thinking?" "About what?" "We searched for Shurik all around. It's noon and he's nowhere to be found." I took a note of the rhyme, but I didn't want to point it out. "We looked all over camp." I went all around the neighboring forest. Olga looked at me, and I helped too. We must call the police." "Maybe we should wait until the evening," I asked lazily. "Maybe he went home." "That can't be. Shurik lives thousands of miles away." "By train?" "The nearest station," she paused, "is far off." Now it was getting interesting. Every time the conversation reached a point concerning ways I could leave Owlet Camp, inhabitants started changing the subject. "How far is far?" "Really far." The camp leader looked at me, indicating her expression that asking more questions was not advised. So we should go deeper into the forest. Maybe he got lost." "Shurik always takes a compass," chimed Electronic. "I wonder what else could be found in his magic vest, assuming he has one. If I were to get lost in a forest, a compass would be no real use." "Police. We should call the police in the evening." "Not right now, at least." "Okay, so you'll do it later." They were all silent. "We should be able to find him before evening. We still have time. If he actually got lost, we have no time to lose." "We cannot be sure." Then where is he? Where?" There was some truth to the camp leader's words. Hiding the whole day just like that is suspicious. Why would he do that? Shurik seemed to me to be quite a serious pioneer. Liana would have been far better fit for this behavior, so there is no good reason to believe that he is gone. All that can be done has already been done. We'll have to wait. Savia and Electronic and looked at me sorrowfully, but didn't say a word. I finished my lunch, took the tray back, and left the canteen. It's still the first half of the day. What now? The camp was drifting off for an afternoon nap. Only Genda stared at me through his glasses. Of course, he was staring somewhere else, but I had the feeling that he was constantly watching me. I bet he knows where Shurik is hiding. He just can't say anything. The Spirits of Cybernetics Club leader made me think, maybe it's got something to do with my case. "Oh, pioneer." The nurse stood in front of me. I looked at her curiously. "Go and take my place at the infirmary. I have an urgent call. Someone is injured." "Me?" "Yes, you. Take the keys." The nurse threw me the keys and ran away. "Why me? Isn't there anyone else in the camp? What exactly should I be doing? What if something happens?" What do I do now? I missed my chance to refuse." I stood in front of the door uncertainly. On one hand, there is nothing to worry about. I'll spend half an hour or so here and she'll be back. What if someone comes for actual help, with a broken leg or a head injury? I begin to worry too much. I hope there are no injuries more serious than bruises and scratches in this camp. But at the time, I could not shake the idea that in this serious situation, I would be absolutely useless. I don't even know how to perform CPR. A magazine on the nurse's table caught my attention. A good way to relax, I guess. It's labeled Soviet fashion. The publication date or month were absent. However, this was not a surprise. There was much stranger things happening here. I don't know much about Soviet magazines. Maybe they actually didn't have publication dates on them. Models dressed in old-fashioned clothes stared at me from glossy pages. Nowadays, nobody wears such clothes. I smirked. I wonder if Sylvia, for example, considered this fashionable. Oh, he's thinking about her. Gotta take a sip of my soda. I can only imagine what would happen if she appeared in my time wearing something like this. Imagine we are walking hand in hand. Oh, he's imagining walking hand in hand with her. Hehehe. This guy is getting places. Imagine we were walking hand in hand. I'm wearing my coat with the hood, and she is dressed in a lavish dress covered with lace and things. Seems like I'm already imagining Sylvia in my world. With me. And not only Sylvia. The dress is better. Suits Havana. What? This cute sarafan would look good on Elisa. This skirt with cardigan would look good on Lena. Only if they could be real. No, I saw them, I heard them, I even touched them. But still, they are here and I simply don't belong in this place. It's alien to me. I'm just waiting for a chance to get out of here. Waiting because nothing is up to me anymore. I sighed, put my head on the table and fell asleep. I was awoken by the noise of the door opening. Lena stood at the door. The nurse isn't here? Then I'll come back later. I'm substituting for her. Since I'm responsible for Pioneers, Since I'm responsible for Pioneers' lives, I should do it with full responsibility. Although, in fact, I was just afraid of something bad happening because of me. Any health complaints? I tried to give Lena the most professional smile I could in order not to confuse her. Nothing special. Just a little headache. Let's do this! Some painkillers, maybe. Of course I wasn't aware where to find the required medicines, so it took me a while to find them. Finally. I handed a metamizole tablet to Lena. Thanks, she smiled. That was completely unexpected, and I lost touch with reality staring at her. What? Lena turned awkward in an instant. Listen, I've been wondering, do you like this? I don't know what got into me, but I grabbed the magazine from the table and showed her a picture of a skirt and a cardigan, which would really suit Lena in my opinion. Maybe I went completely nuts thinking about all the girls being in my world. Or maybe I wanted to distract myself instead of just waiting for the nurse to come back. Lena looked at the picture. Yeah, I guess. Is stuff like this in fashion? I guess. She got confused and started blushing. Why do you ask? Really? Why? Alright, let's compliment her. I don't want to override it. Go back. I think you'd look gorgeous in it. Thank you. I keep switching the window. Or clicking out of the window. It's alright. I'm being completely honest. We were quiet for some time. How's your headache? Much better, thank you. She smiled. I'll be off. I like this guy. Is that a glasses? Are these like half of his glasses? Lena went out and continued to look through the magazine, and I continued to look through the magazine. After a while, somebody knocked on the door again. It seems that the infirmary is the most popular place to go. I suddenly decided to roleplay as a nurse, just a male version, and said, "Come in." The door opened and Yolanda entered the room. Wow, did I miss the moment when you decided to start knocking? Anything wrong with knocking? She frowned. What does it hurt? Why on earth would I tell you? Where's the nurse? Right in front of you. I imposingly crossed my arms and legs and looked questioningly at her. I better go. It'd better be to die than to be treated by you. She smiled mischievously. You didn't even let me try. Yolanda thought for a moment. I thought you could give me some pills. What's bothering you? Took her some time to reply. Heavy stomach. Sure it's not an empty head. I muttered under my breath. What did you say? Nothing, give me a second. I found pills in the first drawer I opened. Thank you, doctor! She smiles cheerfully. Watching Liana, I could not imagine how such an optimistic, active child could have any health problems. I don't want to continue teasing her this much. Got food poisoning from the canteen? Considering the local cuisine, it's not that surprising. Maybe, she smirked. I see you're still alive and kicking. Well, I'm not complaining. Bye! Ilana ran out of the infirmary, slamming the door. Again, I went back to studying Soviet fashion trends. Time passed, but the nurse was still absent. I wasn't searching for Shurik. I wasn't looking for any clues concerning my situation. I was just sitting there, flipping through a magazine. Just for a moment, I felt quite satisfied with the situation. So far, everything that has happened here could be seen as just a trip to a summer camp, and if nothing changes soon, then I can start worrying. Again, somebody knocked at the door. Did I miss the outbreak of an epidemic? Slavia was standing in front of the doorway. Oh, hi. Isn't the nurse here? No. I'm here. I'm all you got, little woman. You're here for me, right? Hi. No, she's not here. I'm taking over for her today. Great. Wonderful. See how she's playing with her hair? Means she likes me. I'd like you. She hesitated. What? By the way, Semyon, Sylvie said and looked intensely at me. What? Seems like I lost my keys. Have you seen them anywhere? I thought... I kept thinking that. I thought he gave them back to her already. Sure I have. Yes, here. I found them near the canteen yesterday. I wanted to return them to you, but I forgot about it. I was really bad at lying. My cheeks were red. My eyes were wandering around. My hands were constantly shaking. Here. I was already preparing myself for an appropriate scolding, but Slavia said the keys and said thanks. So, what did you come here for? I really needed to change the subject. Does anything hurt? No, it's nothing. Just my boobies. I think you might need to, feel them to make sure they're okay. Strange. I wouldn't even think that such an open person as Slavia would be quiet. Gonna take a sip. I'm gonna take a sip for my soda. If there's something bothering you, tell me. That's why I'm here, to treat people. I smiled widely. No. I mean, yes, but no. Hearing that made anything possible, even division by 0. So, how can I help you? You? I guess you can't. She smiled and I was going to leave, but suddenly stopped. However, could you step out for a minute? Why not? Okay. Kicking me out of my office? I sat out of the infirmary and leaned against the wall. I wonder what she might be doing that I can't even see. After a minute, the door opened and Slavia came out. She was carrying a small bundle. Let's inquire about this bundle. What is it? Nothing. She blushed. Thank you. You're welcome. Slavia ran away. Seems like I shouldn't have asked. Is it a bundle of condoms? For who? You planning for our time together from the future? I looked at the time. It was getting late. I'd read the magazine backwards and forwards, but this nurse wasn't here. Suddenly, the door burst open and Elisa rushed inside. She looked at me piercingly. What are you doing here? Sitting. I admitted honestly. Okay then. It's even better without the nurse. She murmured. Are you sick? I asked acidly. Elisa didn't even answer and came closer to me. Move over. Why? So I can open the drawer, isn't it obvious? What for? She got angry. None of your business. Well, I'm kind of in charge here. She gave me a moment's thought. Then give me some activated carbon. Stomachache? Yeah. She grinned sharply. I got the feeling there was something wrong here. Let's give it to her, so we don't have anything with her. Well, of course she's gonna be like, oh yeah, you're gonna owe me for that again. But you never know. What if she really has an ache? Okay. I reached into the drawer and got out a packet of activated carbon. Thanks. She wrested it from my hand and ran away. It was a 15 minutes till dinner and the nurse still wasn't back. Guess her leaving the place like this won't do. She asked me to look after it after all. And who knows what might happen if I leave. Though, who would want to steal anything from here? Except for Elisa's stealing activated carbon. I opened the magazine again and began flipping through it for the nth time. The fashions of the 80s weren't that fun anymore. Yawning got me several times. It was already 6 o'clock, so dinner has already started. Of course, I had to be on the watch till the end, but my stomach seemed to have to have its own opinion on the matter. I stood up and steadily headed to the exit. A rustling sound came from behind the door. Could it be someone else who got poisoned, broke their arm, or even worse? I sighed heavily and pulled the doorknob. However, there was no one out there. Seems it was just my imagination. I returned inside and instantly noticed something had changed in the infirmary. To be precise, an apple appeared on the table. But where from? Fruits can't just materialize in the air by themselves, can they? Though in this camp, anything is possible. Chances are someone just brought it in here. Maybe Lena wanted to thank me. Given that she's all shy and wait. How could she slip in past me like that? Lena wouldn't climb through the window after all. So must be something else. I was suddenly overwhelmed by fear. What if the apple was poisoned? Though why would someone complicate things when I'm here totally helpless and can be killed way more easily? Or it might be the whole apple which Eve tasted in the Garden of Eden. In that case, I certainly shouldn't eat it. The same second, my stomach reminded me that it was there by rumbling tremendously. My brain is all scrambled now from all the hours of streaming I've been doing today. Ugh. However, it would take time to close the infirmary, to reach the canteen and get food. My stomach is about to eat itself. There's nothing wrong, I guess. I once again tried to remember if the apple was here before. It was not there before. In the end, I must have appeared from somewhere. Maybe it got here through the window? The shutter was slightly open. So, someone must have reached in and put it here. Nothing serious, however. I'm gonna eat the apple. Ugh. Why am I feeling so physically tired? I've just been sitting here all day. Maybe it's the way I've been sitting. Alright, so let's eat the apple. Eat the apple. Finally, hunger prevailed, and I started chewing on the ripe apple with gusto. Its taste seemed normal, though I don't think that even the strongest poison could be tasted. But it's too late to think about that. It was time to go for dinner. Along the way, I ran into Electronic. So how's it going? Did you find Shurik? No, still no sign of him. Don't worry. We'll find him. I tried to cheer him up. Too much time has passed. I'll just keep searching. What about dinner? No, finding Shurik is more important. He muttered thoughtfully. I keep groaning. And you have no idea what I'm doing. You think I'm just... You see my groaning. I'm just moving around. When I groan, I move. Or I move when I groan. No, I groan when I move. So that's why. I left him at the crossroads and finished him. I wished him good luck. Pioneers crowded in the doorway. I quickened my pace, trying not to be the last one in line, at least for today. And I was lucky. In the far corner was an absolutely empty table. I took my dinner and quickly sat at the table. Ugh. I'm moving again. It's groaning. Okay, now I'm like exaggerating it on purpose. Alright. All good? All good. Tonight's dinner consisted of fruit soup and a pair of buns. This set surprised me at first, but the taste was actually nice. What did I do? Where am I? I opened a website somehow? Interesting. Alright, let's see. Where'd my thing go? There it is. This set surprised me at first, but the taste was actually nice. I concentrated on eating.
Lena, let's go here. Look, 3 free chairs.
Lena and Miku stood in front of me. Are these taken? Wonderful, wondered Lena. That's really interesting. Miku and Lena are together. Miku is the most talkative person, like, together in a cabin. Miku's the most talkative person, but Lena, she's the most, like, closed off, like, the most quiet, reserved person. No, take a seat. Of course. I wish she were alone. Thank you. As soon as Lena said that, Zenya jumped out from behind her back. I'll sit here. There are no places left, she said, putting her tray on the table and sitting down, not even waiting for an answer. Well, I can't really say anything to her because there's no places left. They really need to expand their canteen if there's never anywhere to sit. Sure, make yourself at home, I muttered sorrowfully. What? Nothing. To tell the truth, I wanted to reduce the whole company just to Lena, although neither Mika nor Zenya were causing much trouble. Except one was too talkative and the other was too arrogant. But nevertheless, they were absolutely harmless, especially comparing to some others I could name. Oh, seems like I forgot my key. Don't worry, take mine. I was surprised at Miku's short reply. Do you live together? Of course, didn't you know? Together, our cabin is in the rearmost. I mean, the farthest from here. I'm in the last one. I wouldn't have been surprised if somebody told me that Lena lived with Slavia. But, or with Zenya, at worst. Even electronic. But silent and shy Lena, excessively talkative Miku as a pair. That's really a surprise. Yeah, see, he has the same reaction as me. Did you find Shurik? It's strange that Zenya is disturbed by someone's problems. No. Surely he is at the village buying cigarettes. Or vodka, she snorted. Village? At that moment, the conversation got much more interesting. Got a problem with villages? Zenya looked amazed. You mean there's a village nearby? I think so, she said uncertainly. I looked at Lena and Miku. They were busy with their meals and did not pay attention to our conversation. You mean you don't know exactly? Why should I care? Zenya stared at her dish. But there must be something nearby. Listen. Listening. I don't know. Will you let me eat? Seems like I won't get anything from her. Though there is a chance that she really doesn't know. The remaining time was spent listening to Miku talking about some nonsense. I was just going to slowly mad in silence. Gonna take another sip from my soda. I don't know why I groaned this time when I reached for my soda. The soda's like right next to me. It doesn't much of a movement. I don't know. Okay. Obviously, the first thing I did after getting out, after that, okay, something, I don't know what just happened to me, but something weird. Right. Obviously, the first thing I did after getting out after that was inhale a great breath of fresh air. The sun was setting. I decided to take a walk. It's highly unlikely that I will find anything more exciting to do for the rest of the evening. That way something interesting could arise quite unexpectedly. I was approaching the square when I heard a loud bang. It seemed like something had exploded. I was paralyzed. I am in a hostile environment, not knowing the rules and laws of this place. It would be better for me to run. But at the same time, I was curious. Probably I would have just kept standing there, but somebody grabbed my hand. It was Olga. Why are you standing here? Let's go and see what happened. Can't you ever manage without me? I begged her pitifully. It shouldn't be anything serious. I hope. When we got to the square, there was already a crowd of pioneers. Olga was vigorously pushed, Olga vigorously pushed through the crowd and approached the crime scene. Obviously, someone had tried to blow up Grenda. But the attackers failed. The monument was still standing upright. There was only dim ash traces left on the pedestal. Well, who did this? She looked over the crowd of pioneers. Surely it wasn't done by an orchestrated terrorist organization. These guys all came here just to look at what happened. I noticed Yolanda and Elisa in the crowd. And it looks like their camp leader noticed them too. You two, come here. They approached reluctantly. Why always me? If you think so. Show me your hands. What's wrong with them? I looked closer and saw they were smeared with black. Now it's clear. What did you make the bomb with? The junior terrorist seemed to hesitate over whether or not to confess, but then blurted out proudly. Activated carbon, salt, pepper, and sulfur. Why exactly the monument? What did this honored man ever do to you, the fighter or for the rights of... Besides, he gave me the activated carbon. She pointed with her finger. The whole square stared at me. Thoughts about the pointlessness of this act due to the small bomb size she left. Okay. Thoughts about the pointlessness of this act due to the small bomb size left me at the very moment. She stole it. I did nothing. Even if he gave it to you, I'm sure Semi would never take part in such a disgusting antisocial act. Yes, exactly. I agreed. I could hardly imagine how long she would have kept on scolding Elisa if Electronic hadn't popped out in that very moment shouting, I found it! Everyone turned towards him. He held a boot in his hand. Here. Electronic boastfully shook it over his head. It's Shurik's boot. Okay, calm down. Tell us in detail where you found it. In the forest, on the way to the old camp. Whispers ran along the pioneers. The old camp. That was not the forest I was supposed to go into. Okay. I'm curious, if I didn't go to sleep, would I have been able to go all to all the locations, or would I only have been able to do 2 before lunchtime? Curious. I don't know. Should have gone to the bus stop in the forest first. Are you sure? Absolutely. What's so special about this old camp? I joined in the conversation. Nothing special, really, she stammered. One of the Owlet's legends tells a story of a young camp leader's ghost living there. She fell in love with the pioneer, but he rejected her, and so she killed herself. She committed harakiri with a kitchen knife. Next day, the boy was hit by a bus. Was I the one who was hit by a bus? Ilana ran out of the crowd. Bus? I refrained from asking about the route number. But science doesn't acknowledge the existence of ghosts, so we have nothing to be afraid of. Anyway, someone should go there. Me. Suddenly the crowd started to thin out. Oh god. It's almost night. Maybe tomorrow? I turned around and saw Livia and Lena. What if at night something happens to him? No, today, right now. By the way, where is this place? Electronic left roughly described to me the directions and told me the story of the old camp. Can, Slavia come with me if I go? Or, do you respect her too much? Do you respect her as an average person and don't want to send her? The camp leader looked at me attentively. If you think that you're the only man here. I looked around the area. Of course, Electronic was quick to flee. I still didn't want to walk in the woods alone. If he asked me, I would... Slavia! Okay, yes. Why am I so excited about this? I finally get my time with Slavia. Yeah. Alright, go Slavia. Sorry for dragging you with me. Will she agree? I looked at Slavia. She paid no attention to me. Looks like it's not my day. Am I going there alone? Olga looked thoughtful. Perhaps you're right. We'll go together tomorrow morning. No! What happened to my Slavia time? My Slavia time! Ah! This game is mean to me. I want time with a girl, but then they don't let me do my choices. They give me the choices, and then they're like, nope, just ignore what you do. We stood in silence for some time, then dispersed around the camp. Everybody seemingly forgot about Elisa and her terrorist act, maybe due to the minor damage it caused. Together with the camp leader, I went towards our cabin. I tried to think of a way Shurik would go to the old camp. He is interested in robots and cybernetics, not scary stories and ghosts. What does that route have to do with it? I remember how I decided to wait until something extraordinary would happen. Then I realized this is it. Olga, I think I'll take a walk before bed. Just not a long one. Okay. When I reached the square, I understood that hanging around in the forest or some other strange place may not be that scary. Am I really at the end? Is this the end? Interesting. I hope it's not the end. I want a lot more to happen. I want more stuff to happen with Slavia. And there was not yet 120 CGs, I can tell you that. When I reached the square, I understood that hanging around the forest or some other strange place may not be that scary. But going in the dark, I didn't want to return to Olga and find I had a flashlight. I didn't want to return to Olga's cabin, but I had to find a flashlight. For instance, there was one in the infirmary. I was glad I didn't spend my whole time there reading the old-fashioned magazine. The flashlight was found quickly. and in a few minutes I was again standing in the square, pulling myself together. I had to make the final decision here before I entered the forest. Moving past the pioneers' cabins, down the forest path towards its abandoned camp, I set forth. Electronic told me the old building was built immediately after the war. It looked like a kindergarten, or like a barracks, I expected, and definitely could hold fewer pioneers than today's camp. It had been abandoned for about 20 years. It was now totally dark. The forest looked totally different at night. Mysterious shadows are hiding behind the trees, strange rustlings and the cries of night birds coming from everywhere, branches treacherously snapping under my feet. The moon was shining, so I decided to save the battery of the flashlight. I'm sure I will need it sometime soon. The further I moved, the more unpleasant thoughts came to my head. I wasn't afraid of the dark at all. I didn't believe in ghosts and other mystical crap, but at the same time, during the last few days, I'd encountered so many incomprehensible phenomena that against my own will, I started to read in between the lines of the simplest things. Obviously, I felt exceptionally uneasy at the forest night. Everywhere I looked, every shadow, every tree or bush looked like weird creatures, skipping straight from horror movies or from Stephen King novels. A branch seemed to be someone's hand, eager to grab at your shoulder. A fallen log, someone's dead body. Someone who failed to get out of the forest. In every gully, I saw a bottomless abyss. If I had found myself in this forest under any other circumstances, without these buses and pioneer campers, of course I still would feel uncomfortable, but then I would be able to explain everything with logic and be afraid of nothing except for the owls and mice, of course. Yes, mice. Very scary. At the moment, there were more than enough reasons to fear. Despite all this, I reached the old camp without any adventures. Wait, why'd I go to the camp by myself? Where's Slavia? Where's my girl? Did I miss something? Did I miss why he said he was going to the camp? Or why I said I didn't miss why I said I was going to the camp. You know, I have this bag of ramen chicken flavoring just sitting on my desk, like leaning against something, just propped up, full display in front of me. I don't know why I have it there, and it's really tempting me, but I have no ramen. I just have this flavor packet. Chicken flavor. Please tear along this line. I don't know why. It's just, and I put it back in the same place just to continue to intimidate me forever. And I'm gonna take a sip of my soda. I should stop doing that before it becomes a habit. The after I drink. In a little glade surrounded by trees stood a house resembling a kindergarten. Paint peeled off the walls. Almost all the windows were broken. Masonry here and there. Holes in the roof that looked like those made by a bombing. In front of the building was a little garden surrounded by a rusty fence. Apparently, it was a playground with merry-go-round, swing slides, and other Soviet attractions. But time is cruel. All of them were broken and mutilated by corrosion. The grass was so tall that it almost came up to my waist. The moon looked out from behind the clouds and illuminated the old camp. It seemed like everything came back to life. Windows shone with new glass, and walls looked like they'd been painted with fresh paint. I heard playful laughter, saw translucent children joyfully running and frolicking in the yard. A strict camp leader on the threshold, holding a basket with ripe apples in her hands. Only cleaning lady the old cleaning lady taking a nap in the shade. What kind of ripe apples? Are they green ripe apples? Ripe green apples? Hmm? Hmm? Oh, here come the yawns again. Haven't yawned in a bit. First one in a while. Of course, my imagination was just playing tricks, but the old camp itself was similar to the post-apocalyptic pictures I'd seen in those um, pictures I had seen. That these versions were no surprise. I, I stood undecided for a long time before I dared to go further. After all, I'm here to find Shurik, though I still don't get what he might be doing here, even if he even is here. A boot somewhere nearby doesn't mean anything. However, if he was not eaten by wolves, or for some reason it seemed like there were no wolves in this forest. But this must be the only place where he might be hiding. I carefully crossed the yard, pushing the tall grass apart and trying not to bump into a jagged piece of metal. I stopped in the doorway, hesitating. An impenetrable heavy darkness stared back at me from inside. Even the bright moonlight could not illuminate any object or highlight its silhouette. My head was filled up with different thoughts that all said that it's better for me to not go any further, and I ran away quickly. But I pulled myself together, turned on the flashlight, and stepped over the threshold. Inside the building looked like a typical kindergarten. I still remembered my childhood days, and so everything here looked very familiar. I don't know why I groan when I move. I'm just repositioning myself. Don't worry. I'm not dying. Did I miss that one? I still remembered my childhood days, and so everything here looked very familiar. A sleeping room with lines of beds standing close to each other, a large playroom, toilets, and dining hall and utility room. Signs of the past children's joy were seen everywhere. From time to time, the flashlight drew my attention to a decaying doll or a plastic toy car, or a punctured rubber ball, a broken rank of tin soldiers. There was a book on the table, faded with age. I flipped through a few papers. It was a story I had read a long time ago, back in my childhood. Something about the war. Enemies destroyed the kindergarten, and all of its kids hid in the little basement together with a bunch of adults while bombs were exploding up on the surface. I don't remember the end of the story, but as far as I remember, nobody died. Looking at the illustrations, all the emotions, fear, sadness, sympathy for the poor children, and the sense of hopelessness which I had experienced while reading this book overcame me. It's strange that under exactly these conditions, right now, here and now, that I found this book. Probably there is somebody who manages this ongoing story, who writes a scenario for this absurd play, who screws costumes for the who sews costumes for the local pioneers and creates sets like this abandoned camp. To tell the truth, he is very talented. Attention is paid to even the most minor details. Although this place was abandoned a long time ago, everything here seemed to be untouched. Of course, time didn't spare this camp. In so many years, it had often been visited by the locals. A perfect place for young people just hitting puberty. They could drink alcohol, indulge in amorous pleasures. What is amorous? Amoral? Let me look it up. Definition of amorous. Definition: showing feeling or relating to sexual desire. Okay. Or simply burn everything down just for fun. Electronic mentioned this place is full of legends. Legends of ghosts and devils living here. Take, for example, the story about the camp leader who committed suicide. In my world, nobody would believe that this could stop anybody, but in this reality, anything is possible. Certainly the fear didn't disappear, but I decided that since I'd come here, I was going to carry on to the end. The building was small, so it wasn't difficult to search it completely. I didn't find any sign of Shurik. Maybe I could just call out to him? But on the other hand, maybe it's not such a good idea. Frustrated, I sat on a bench in the lobby inside. "Ghosts, where are you?" asked the camp. All of a sudden, I noticed a strange depression in the corner. A small trap door. An adult would barely be able to squeeze through it. It seemed to me that it had been recently been opened, as the dust was cleared around it. So here's that part where I need to get scared. So Shurik went somewhere. What might be lurking beneath this trap door? A basement? What could he be doing there? I pulled open the hatch and pointed the flashlight into the darkness. There was a ladder going down a couple of meters, ending at a concrete floor. There was a lone, narrow corridor disappearing into the darkness. I hesitated for a long time. On one hand, I had absolutely no desire to go down there, but on the other hand, if Shurik really was there, I swore loudly and began to descend. Jeez. I'm getting scared. Alright, I took a sip of my soda and did not do my thing. Downstairs, it was so dark that even the flashlight didn't help much. A low ceiling, wires extending along the walls, broken lamps clad in iron bars. I've seen it all somewhere. I slowly started to move deeper into the dungeon. The path went down, and after a few dozen meters, ended at a stairway with high steps. As soon as I found myself in front of a massive metal door, there was a sign painted on it. I looked closely and realized it was a biohazard sign. No wonder. If the old camp was built after the war and it lasted until the 70s. So it's an ordinary bomb shelter and there's nothing to be afraid of. However, those thoughts made me even more scared. I made a decision and opened the door. Why are you doing this? Alone? Which immediately shut with a sharp sound as soon as I stepped my way through the doorway. I shuddered strongly, my hands began to tremble and my vision dimmed. I regained consciousness after a few seconds, and only then did I realize apparently a strong spring was attached to the door. I found myself in a quite spacious room. In the beam of the flashlight, I could see a bunk bed, some cabinets, walls, and several devices of unknown purpose located in the far corner. It seems this bomb shelter has never been used. Nobody ever came here. The beds were made, which was strange in itself. Carefully, I looked around the room several times. The cabinets were filled with gas masks, chemical protective suits, dry rations, various domestic odds and ends. The devices which I at first could determine the purpose of were gauges of radiation, air pressure, and temperature. In short, it was a typical bomb shelter. I'd never been in such a place before, but it was how I'd imagined it. The only thing that remained unexplored was the door at the center. I think I am getting too tired. Alright. I really want to find out what happens, though. I want to finish this part of the game. The only thing that remained unexplored at the door was the door at the other end of the room. I pulled the handle, but the door remained closed. If someone recently came down here and wasn't found in this room, then it was probably logical to assume he's behind this door. I called out in a whisper, "Shurik?" No reply. Maybe he locked himself out, but why? It was unclear what to do next. Did I just hear them crying? Perhaps it would be smarter to come back tomorrow with help, but for some reason I had a feeling that behind this door I would find answers that can't wait to be found. I walked across the room and took a crowbar from the corner. I wedged it under the bottom of the door and tried to rip off its hinges. Oddly enough, after I did that, fortunately it wasn't massive as a Oddly enough, after a while, I did just that. Fortunately, it wasn't as massive as the other door. The door gave out and slammed to the floor. Took a deep breath and pointed the light down the passage. A corridor vanished into the darkness, the same as the one which brought me here. I'm getting scared. The walls were closing in. My head almost touched the ceiling, but I could not make out the end of the corridor. I walked carefully, looking at the ground. This was the reason that I didn't fall into the pit. A train track. The hole was about 1.5 meters in diameter, and there was earth at the bottom, but instead of concrete. Seems the hole was caused by an explosion. It wasn't too deep. I could easily climb over. After I jumped into the hole, I found myself in something that resembled an old mine. The walls and ceiling were reinforced with modern beams. The tunnel was so strong that my flashlight was insufficient. Oh, so long. A few minutes later, I found myself at a crossroads. It's way too dangerous to go any further. I could get lost. I decided that it would be a good idea to somehow mark the place from which I began my journey to the labyrinth. So I picked up a stone and made a big notch in the wall. So... I'm gonna follow the arrow. Which is pointing left. It seems there's another fork in the road. What? When I go back to this, I might be confused because I'm going to see the same thing multiple times. I came to some kind of miner's camp. Picks, helmets everywhere, and a rusty wagon stood in the corner. All of the items were so old, they dated from the beginning of the 20th century rather than the middle. So it really is a mine, which means I could wander around here for ages without finding a way out. But I sensed that an exit somewhere nearby, and I went further. Don't give me another crossroads! There was a fork in the road. I'm gonna keep going in a circle. There's another fork in the road. There's a fork in the road. There's another fork on the road. The door appeared in the darkness. I opened it and went inside a small room. Nobody here except Shurik. Who sat in the corner. Shurik! He stared at me with eyes full of terror. Ah, don't come near me. Shurik, it's me, Semyon. I won't give up so easily. He grabbed a piece of reinforced bar from behind his back and started waving it around. Shurik, what's wrong with you? Calm down, calm down. First you bring me here, then you take me through this mine, and now you're pretending to be Semyon? He must have gone completely nuts. Shurik, calm down. No one's pretending to be me. I really am me. I tried to think as calmly as I could, but I was almost feeling more nervous than him. Semyon, he squinted. Is that really you? Yes. And now tell me what happened. How'd you get here? Shurik covered his breath and started to talk. I needed some parts for the robot. Oh, I forgot his voice. I needed some parts for the robot, and I heard there was a bomb shelter in the old camp. And there would be some instruments there. So I got up in the morning and went. He stopped for a minute, trying to deal with the trembling of his hands. I found suitable parts, but then, for real, I read primal fear in his eyes. The voices, they told me to go here. I went down into the mine. They were telling me to go right, then left, then right, then left, then right, then left. He He started to laugh hysterically. I just went left. But now, they won't get me. I'll stay sitting here. They won't find me here. He once again started to wave his pipe in the air. Sure, there's no one there. I wasted quite a lot of time walking around the mine like you. I didn't hear any voices. He fixed his eyes on me. Then you're with them. Shurik rushed towards me. I was barely able to dodge him. The flashlight wasn't lucky and took the full force of Shurik's blow. We found ourselves in complete darkness. Now it was my turn to lose my mind. What have you done, you idiot? I lashed out with my hand in the direction where I expected Shurik to be, but to no avail. Now we will both die here. I got nothing but silence in return, and then quiet, hysterical laugh. It's alright, it's fine. I know where the exit is. Follow me. Follow you where? I can't see a damn thing. Follow my voice. I had no other choice. Here. Shurik's voice was heard from somewhere further on. How do you know where to go? I walked all over here. Then why didn't you leave? The voices. Quiet, they can hear us. In theory, I could believe there was some supernatural forces here. In the Owlet camp, they'd just be a daily occurrence. But there was no reason to panic yet. Though my hands were shaking all nonstop. Here. I slowly followed his voice and eventually lost track of time. We could have been roaming for a few minutes, or a few hours. Finally, a dim light appeared in the distance. We're here. Where are we? We reached the wall. Okay, I forgot to lock my door. I'll be back. Alright, my door's now locked. I am safe. We reached the wall. The way towards freedom was blocked by a lattice on the ceiling. I pushed myself up and recognized the square from the bits of landscape I could see. Lift me up. Lift me up. Or that was me. Shurik obediently followed my request. I started to hit the grating with my fist so hard that a few strikes my arms were covered in blood. But in return, the grating gave way and pushed open. A minute later, we were on the surface behind the monument of Grenda. When I saw this grating before, I had no idea there could be catacombs below it. They will come for you. I fell to the ground exhausted. Who? They will come, said Shurik again and ran away. I was so exhausted that I could not even be bothered thinking about the voices or recalling the forsaken camp, bomb shelter, or this mine. Almost unconscious, I reached the camp leader's cabin, but I couldn't go to bed right away. Well, look who's here. Olga. I stared tiredly, attempting to cut the explanation to a minimum. You said you were going for a walk, but instead... And I was going to call the police. And... Olga, can I wait tomorrow? I'm really tired. The camp leader eyed me all over. Okay, fine. I was a bit surprised that she agreed so fast, but I decided not to waste this opportunity and quickly turned out the light and turned and darted under the covers. Day 5. We ran with the last of our strength, like those who run for precious lives, like a doomed person knowing that there's no hope to save his life. We still fight for the inevitable and his own fate. I barely managed to close the heavy metal door behind me. I have no idea how deep this bomb shelter is or if I'll be able to withstand a nuclear blast, but we have no other place to hide. She gripped my hand tight. Don't be afraid. Bits of ceiling were falling and the walls were shaking. I was prepared for the worst, but death is the kind of thing that we can't ever be prepared for. But suddenly, complete silence fell, and it rang even louder than the explosions. Maybe it's time to say goodbye. She was whimpering. I wanted to comfort her somehow, but I realized there was nothing we could do. Yes. You know, A horrible bang split my eardrums. Seems that I'm under a piece of collapsed ceiling, but I don't feel any pain. All I want is to not let her go. I woke up in a cold sweat, short of breath and gasping for air. It took me some time to come to my senses. It was a dream. It was just a dream. My questioning mind, however, refused to believe it. But who was that girl with me there? I didn't want to let go of her so desperately. Sadly, I couldn't recall her at all. The clocks were showing a few minutes past 10. I slowly came to my senses as reality started to strike out as its claim on my mind, and my stomach foully growled. Alright, war is war, but lunch should be served in due time. It turned out Olga wasn't there. She must have decided not to wake me up. Thanks go out to our camp leader for this. After yesterday's adventure, I had to have a rest. Last night... Why am I so out of breath? Maybe I should breathe when I talk. That would be a good thing to do. Last night was remained a blurry memory, which I really didn't want to think about. It's now more important to find something to eat and to wash myself. Exactly. Because a pioneer always had to be clean and tidy. Though I would agree with this principle even if I wasn't a pioneer. As a matter of fact, I'm not. On the way to wash hands, I met Electronic. He started to wave his hands and ran up to me. Good morning. Thank you for finding Shurik. Without him, I don't even... It's nothing. I was a bit embarrassed. No, really, don't be shy. The country must be proud of its heroes. And what about Shurik? How did he look this morning? Is he alright? After yesterday's craziness, I thought such a question was completely valid. Yes, absolutely. The only thing is he can't remember anything. Can't he? I wasn't surprised at all. He says he went to a abandoned camp yesterday and then woke up in his bed this morning. I mean, he remembers nothing between those two events. I see. Alright then. You missed breakfast, right? Come on, come to our club, we'll feed you. I have something special. Electronic smiled in a conspiratorial way. Thanks, I'll come probably. I had to wash myself first anyway. We'll be waiting. He waved at me and left to carry out my business. Or left to carry out his own business. There was nobody near the wash stands. The water turned out surprisingly warm today. It had warmed up already, I guess. Having my face washed, I realized that it wouldn't be easy to wash the rest of my body here. Maybe I should go to the showers, but since there is nobody here, I turned the tap in such a way that the water streamed parallel to the ground and started to take off my clothes. What if somebody sees me? Well, I'll rinse and dry myself quickly and put on my clothes. The water, which seemed warm on my hands and face, felt bone-chillingly cold on my body. The whole washing process took no longer than 10 seconds, and I started to wipe myself quickly afterwards. I didn't managed to get finished anyway. There was voices coming from the direction of the footpath. Only solution came to me in a split second. I grabbed my clothes and darted into the bushes. Bruh. What? Why? A moment later, Elisa and Juliana appeared near the wash stands. You could have done it by yourself. Why did you bring me here?
Is it a big deal for you?
Fine. Let me. I peered at them and noticed they were both covered in red paint. What a surprise. I wonder how they managed that. They don't look to be very covered in red paint to me. I'm gonna take a sip of my soda. Well, I guess it was a bit of a big sip. Elisa opened the valve and started to rub Juliana's back.
Take off your bra! What if somebody sees us? What? Is there anything to see?
She grinned.
Okay, just be quick.
Alright, let's see. It was true that there wasn't much to look at, but even so, I stared at the girls narrowingly. It was a pity that they were standing with their backs to me. After a minute, Elisa managed to wash off the paint.
I'm done. Thanks.
You're welcome, Elisa replied lazily.
Listen, let me do a try on yours.
She pointed at Elisa's bra. It won't fit you for sure.
Well, I'd like to try anyway.
But out here?
There's nobody here, right?
Yana looked in my way and smiled archly. I was absolutely sure she couldn't see me in those bushes, but... Enough with this nonsense. Joanna was listening to her anymore and grabbed Elisa's bra with a dexterous move instead. Now I have to confess, I had something to look at. Oh, I thought they were gonna open the scene. Where's that CG? Where's the stuff?
This game is disappointing me. All my stuff.
I watched two girls chase each other around the wash stands with bated breath. Elisa covered her breasts with her hands, so I could barely see anything at all. I leaned forward and stumbled over a stone falling out of the bushes. Am I still naked? They froze and stared at me. I tried to cover my nudity with my guilty face. Oh, I am naked. The tableau lasted for a few seconds, and then Elisa took her shirt and somehow put it on in an instant. You. Her face had gone from red to purple. It looked like she would explode in a nuclear blast at any second. The only thing I wanted to do was just disintegrate into atoms and get as far away from this epicenter as possible.
She was sitting there the whole time!
So she noticed me then.
You.
And I accidentally, if you know what I mean, Lisa rushed at me. Covering my butt with one hand, pulling my clothes with the other, I ran into the woods. It seemed the best solution to me at the time, as showing up naked in the middle of camp accompanied by two screaming girls wasn't a good idea. I ran without looking back, and stopped a few minutes later to catch my breath. It seemed that there was no pursuit, so I managed to save myself. But at the cost of lacerated, scratched, and bleeding feet, as I had no time to put on my boots. I sat at a tree stump inside. Sometime later, having dressed already, I left the forest. I needed to decide what to do next. My feet are hurting, so should I go straight to the infirmary? But on the other hand, my stomach isn't going to wait either. Maybe I should accept electronics and vacations, or head to the canteen in the hope of finding something left to eat there. Let's get myself patched up and then go to the clubhouse. Or the canteen, actually. I always took care of my health, and even better care at the times when something starts to hurt badly. So without hesitation, I made my way to the infirmary. But into the door stopped as mysterious force was holding me. I had absolutely no desire to go to the camp nurse without any urgent need. But on the other hand, I almost did a great deed yesterday in defending the infirmary, so in some sense, she owed me. I took heart and opened the door. Hi, Pioneer. Hello. I'm sorry that I was so late yesterday. It wasn't a problem at all. Why have you come? Are you sick? She smiled slyly. Well, my feet got a bit... You got a bit what? My feet. I gave a stupid answer. Okay, show me. She sat on the couch and I took off my boots. How did you manage that? I better keep silent about what happened near the washstands. Okay, never mind. Wait a second. She rummaged in the drawer and took out a big red pill with cross-shaped notch from a vial. And what's that for? I was disturbed by the size of the pill and its strange shape. They are broken in halves usually, and not quarters. This to make the amputation of your legs unnecessary. What?
Oh, wee! Look at that! Ah, yeah!
Nothing. Don't be afraid. Pioneer, you'll take it, and you'll be all right. And this pill, why does it look like that? That's for patients who refuse to take medicines perorally. What does that mean? Okay. I see the word oral, so I think that has to do something with it. We screw it into them with a screwdriver then. Wow. I didn't dare to ask where they were being screwed in, actually. Now try to bear it a bit. She took a big pack of cotton wool, wrapped it around a bud with it, and applied plenty of iodide to it. I braced myself for the torments of hell. I moaned quietly, but my trust in this method of disinfection was much higher than the odd pill, so I had to withstand the burning. Now it's done. I put on my boots and tried to walk. Just plugging in my iPad because it's dying. And making a sip of my soda. I'm out of soda now. It's very sad. My feet were still hurting, but the sharp pain was gone. Thank you. Don't mention it. Drop in any time. Pioneer. I said goodbye to her and left the infirmary. Our heart problem was solved. It's the right time to eat now. The day just started and I'd gone through so many things already. I did it, and now I have a legitimate grounds to fill myself. That took until dinner time? Is this dinner time? Ugh. I'm feeling really tired. I've done a lot of streaming. I really want to see where this game goes, but I'm really exhausted. Whew. I'm gonna have a good rest tonight. What should I do? I'll probably keep reading. I'll probably do one more little bit, maybe till the end of this day. Today wasn't the last one, so I chose Today I wasn't the last one, so I could choose a free table. Lunch included pea soup and mashed potatoes with fish. It was a major disappointment to me as I don't eat fish in any form, and hence I will get fewer calories than usually. Soon, Slavia and Lena came to my table. Can we? Of course you can. I would never say no to you. She smiled nicely. Eh? Yeah, sure. I stood up and pulled out a chair for her. Please. I was in an excellent mood at that moment. Enjoy your meal. Saying that, Lena began staring at me and continued for some time, but then after realizing how odd she looked, switched to her plate. You too. Do you have any plans for today, Samuel? Well, nope. Do you have any plans? Do you want me to come with you? I gave her an honest answer, as indeed I had no plans, except for searching for answers, but that was more like a global goal. Do you want to take a boat ride to the island with us? Yes. 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 Why am I saying yes so many times? The island. Well, I've seen it from the pier. For what? Olga asked us to gather some strawberries. Ooh! There are a lot of strawberries there, and they're so delicious. I could imagine the taste even without eating it, just by looking at Slavia's face. Strawberries. And what are those for? I don't know, but it's indeed a great idea. Well, indeed it is. Moreover, I haven't been to the island yet. Yeah, sure. Within minutes, we were already standing at the pier. Well, here's the boat. You want to get back into your swimsuit? In case you fall in the water, get wet, get a little wet, Just, Well, here's the boat. Hang on. I'll go fetch a few paddles now. We're paddling there. I was left face to face with Lena. Do you like strawberries? Well, not really, but they're tasty. Lena smiled. I see. I didn't know what to say next, how to continue the conversation. If Slavia didn't come back, we could probably sit here till the evening without saying a word. Here you go. She handed me a pair of hefty paddles. Yeah, thanks. Oh, I'm rowing both of them. Okay, look at me. Such a man. We got into the boat and I untied it, pushed it off to the shore and started paddling. And where exactly are we heading to? Right there. She pointed her finger at the island. The island is named the closest one. I wonder which captain gave it such an original name. Well, the island is indeed close to the shore. Aye, aye, Captain. If only I'd known what was waiting for me ahead. I wasn't an experienced oarsman. I'd rowed a boat just once or twice in my entire life. It was less than half a mile to the island, but we were making our way in zigzags thanks to my skills. For approximately the middle of the trip, my arms hurt so badly that I dropped the paddles to get some rest. Well, aren't there any strawberries anywhere else? I mean, in more accessible places? But the tastiest ones grow here. Oh, I can almost see her upper skirt. Woo! I'm like this. Sabi gave me a puzzled look. Is it hard to row alone? Lena, unlike Slavia, understood everything straight away. Oh, it's nothing. Anyway, I couldn't let the fragile girl help me. The rest of the way I spent concentrating on staying alive while getting to the island. Slavia and Lena discussed something, but it wasn't interesting, or I wasn't listening. This was too much. That was too much for me. At last we arrived. Completely exhausted, I got out on the shore and looked at the boathouse. It seemed so far away that I felt like the first person on the moon watching the Earth rise. Here you go. She handed me a basket. It was a small island, barely 100 meters long, and it looked more like a birch grove with even rows of trees covering its entire surface. A calm green sea spread beneath our feet, with wind causing lonely waves on its surface from time to time. The island looked like a lost paradise. Isn't it wonder then that most delicious strawberries just grow here? We've got to split up. That way we'll do the job faster. Yeah, sure. But there are only 2 baskets. Lena said humbly. Oh, you're right, my bad. So how are we going to split up then? I'm going with my girl Slavia. Okay, I don't think these turns make any difference. I'm just gonna save here. So let's see. Let's go, girl. I didn't want to walk here alone and hoped Savia would join me. But I couldn't bring myself to ask. Well, it's obvious. One basket for me, one for you two. What are you doing? I made a choice. And you're like, nah, I'm gonna go alone. Jeez. No, let me go with you, Slavia smiled. Okay. I was a bit surprised, but I also was glad it turned out like this. Lena seemed to take no offense at all. Look, all the points I've scored are paying off. The reaping has commenced. The strawberries were delicious here indeed. I could probably eat them all if I didn't stop myself in time. Despite being wild grown, the strawberries were close to the garden. Ones in size had rich... Despite being grown, the berries were close to the garden ones in size and had a rich red color. So it was clear that our visit here wasn't in vain. Slavia was walking right beside me as we had only one basket. I felt like a mushroom picker, looking under every shrub and searching through the grass carefully. Pay attention. An entire bunch of strawberries had been left behind. Ah, yeah, I'm sorry. It's fine. You must be enjoying being here. Do you? Don't you? You must enjoy being here, don't you? You're like nature after all. Of course I do, Slavia smiled. It reminds me of my home. We have similar beautiful birches there. She gazed dreamily somewhere into the distance. Look, I've always wanted to ask, what do you like in general? You look busy 24/7, and it seems like you have no time to rest at all. She started to think. I don't know, really. Doing variety of activities is enjoyable for me. Well, that's understandable, but still. I like knitting and sewing. Things like that. Savia took a handkerchief out of her pocket. There were red, yellow, and green flowers embroidered on it. They were entangled with each other in a complicated way, creating sophisticated geometric forms, such a typical Russian handmade handkerchief. Glimpsing at it, I instantly imagined Slavia dressed in an ancient sarafan, sitting on a bench beside the ramshackle. I'm stuttering a lot. Glimpsing it, I instantly imagined Slavia dressed in an ancient sarafan, sitting on a bench beside a ramshackle house with a crowd of children running around. It's quite cute. Thanks. Let me give it to you as a gift. Such a proposal will embarrass me. Ooh, she's proposing to me. Oh, I don't know why I said it that way, but yeah. Look at this. I'm scoring all these points with this girl. Let's go. You shouldn't. No, take it. I lifted the handkerchief once again and put it in my pocket. Thank you. There were so many strawberries here that after a mere half an hour we had a basket filled to the brim. Seems we're done. Yes. You've got a lot, so it should surely be enough. When we got back to the boat, Lena wasn't there yet. She'd need more time to fill the basket by herself. Yeah, I guess so. I looked by the river. Sun sparkles happily dancing across the water's surface were the only thing that distinguished it from a mirror. That's how calm the river seemed. What are you thinking about? Nothing really. And you? Me? What will happen once our vacation is over? We'll have to leave this camp and go back to our homes. Will I ever see anyone I met here again? Will I ever see you again? Oh! She looked at me with her eyes full of sorrow that I couldn't think of what to say. Lena came out of nowhere, breaking the silence. Oh, you're done already. Here. She showed us a basket full of strawberries. Great. Now we can go back. And I still had Sylvia's face and words of hers stuck in my mind. Yes, I'm getting somewhere with my girl. Whew. Sadness and sorrow weren't the kinds of emotions typical of her. Could she be hiding them all under a mask of cheerfulness? I had no answer to this question, and I knew I couldn't find the one either. Maybe later. The way back took less time as I tried to concentrate on the rowing and ignoring everything else. My only wish was to get back alive to the first trip I hadn't gone without consequence, and now my hands started to hurt only after a few sweeps of the oars. Having tied up the boat, I fell to the ground with no energy left. Savia and Lena leaned over me. I could have said something if it was too hard for you. Yeah. Never mind, it's fine. I'll just lie here for a bit. Everything will be alright. Okay then. Get those baskets to Olga, please. We have something else to do. Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, more time with Slavia. I was ready to agree with anything at the moment, so I just wouldn't have to get up. Slavia put the baskets of strawberries next to me and headed to the square, happily chatting with Lena about something. Oh no, the two of them have something else, and I have to just bring the strawberries. Oh no. The hardest part is done anyway. That's what I thought before I got up and took the baskets. After the rowing, they felt like cement bags, even while weighing barely more than a few kilograms each. So the trip to the camp leader's cabin took much longer than usual. I had to stop every 15 meters to take a rest. Once I finally made it, I put the baskets on the ground and sat on the deck chair with difficulty. Olga, I got presents for you. There was no answer. I barely managed to get up and enter the cabin. Nobody was there. If you don't need them, it's up to you. I lay down in the deck chair and fell asleep. Strawberry monsters! I had a weird dream about strawberry race. I like the music. I was rowing a boat with my last ounces of strength, trying to escape huge berries that were chasing me. My hands were failing, and I could barely see anything because of the sweat covering my face. Blood was hammering in my temples, but the strawberries were getting closer. They were baring their teeth at me. But wait, strawberries with teeth? Simon. I woke up. Olga was standing beside me, shaking my shoulder. I see you got a rich harvest, didn't you? Yeah, take all the credit. Yep, I tried my best. You see, woman. It was all me. I rode there, I picked all the strawberries by myself. Okay, but that's not all. Seriously, I was just anticipating the lovely rest to have. Do you even know what these strawberries are for? Not a clue. What an honest confession. We'll make a cake out of them. I see. Well, that makes sense. To honor our miraculous rescue of Shurik. It's all thanks to you. It was clear that getting the strawberries wasn't the last thing left to do. And why, please tell me, if I am such a hero, do I have to organize a celebration in my name all by myself? Well, I guess so. I have an important task for you. We are missing yeast, flour, and sugar. And all that I need, and I need it all in the canteen for dinner. And those who will make the cake can't deal with it on their own somehow? Asked pitifully. Of course they can't. All of them are busy making your cake. But they can't make your cake because they don't have the ingredients. You're so stupid. Of course they can't. All of them are busy. And you're the only one in the whole camp who does nothing. While her words were partially true, that doesn't make it any easier for me now. Moreover, those words felt like a bullet to my head. So write it down. You'll get yeast at the infirmary, flour at the library, and sugar in the clubhouse. Wait, I have no time. I'm in a hurry. Good luck. Why is there flour in the library? What? Okay, I'm really tired now. She smelled lovely and left. Of course, there are a lot of strange things in this camp, but Yeast at the infirmary, okay, I can deal with that. What? Flour at the library, and sugar. No way. No, it's way beyond my comprehension. I spat on the floor. I don't want to, and I will not believe this. Tell me. I just want to know you're pulling my leg. I would not be surprised if a crowd of fat green trolls would appear right here, right now, beside me, with every one of them feeling obligated to laugh at me. So maybe, to hell with this cake. I weighed my options for some time. No, if such a major plan of Olga fell through, I'd be in for a world of hurt. And it would be, and I... Ugh, let me just get through this, and I'll end the stream. Should have ended it a while ago. And it would be and it would complicate my life in the camp and my search for answers, which I've stopped for quite a while. It seems I have no choice. Alright. Save game. Look at that. I've made a big chunk of progress today. Main menu. This game is really interesting. I'm really curious what's happening with me, like why I'm here. What's all this stuff that's happening? I'm really curious, and I want to get with my girl Silva too. I think I've been playing for like 6 hours. Ugh, and it's really interesting. It's really great too. What else do I have to say about this? Oh yeah, let's look at the gallery. Let's see how many CGs we've got. Okay. I didn't get these two, because probably a decision I missed. I didn't get a bunch of these. Okay. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of CGs. Yeah. There's still a lot of this game to go through. I don't think. And the thing is, with these types of games, I like to go through them and get every single path, and like later on, I sort of get bored and just skip through things and just try to get all the CGs and and in this game there's music and sprites. I want to try to get all of them in this game. Or well, in all the games that I play that are like this. That's my goal. I try to get every path, try to get every ending. Just, you know, try to get everything. I might play to the end, and then when I get to the end, I'm gonna look at the other potential options, and if they're like not too out there, I'll go back and do it. Well, actually no, I will, cause yeah, I'm gonna go back. Well, I'm just gonna get every single piece of content from this game, and after that, I'm gonna be playing another visual novel, which is gonna be great. I might just become a visual novel guy. Who knows? Well, I already am a bit of a visual novel guy. But, well... I'm turning in for the night. I am exhausted. Aw. I'll see ya.